Imagine for a second that an extraterrestrial intelligence is like orbiting Earth, right?
Okay, I'm with you.
And they're tapping into our daily communications to just sort of figure out how human beings operate. They run our conversations through their literal translation matrix, and what do they hear?
Oh, man. It would be a mess.
Complete chaos. They hear that to make friends, we actively break ice. To keep secrets, we somehow manage to, like, hide cats in bags.
Right.
And when we want to go to sleep, we just violently hit sacks.
Ugh.
They would probably conclude that humans are these chaotic, violent, and utterly absurd creatures.
Yeah, and honestly, looking at language from a purely literal standpoint, they wouldn't be entirely wrong.
No, they wouldn't.
If you expect human communication to be this clean binary transmission of pure facts like engineering data,
Yeah.
you are going to be wildly disappointed.
Which is exactly why we are so glad you are joining us today. Welcome to today's deep dive. If you've ever been, insanely curious about why we don't just say what we mean, consider this deep dive your own personal Mr. Idioms channel for the day.
I love that, Mr. Idioms.
Right. We're looking at a curated list of 20 essential English idioms. We have their actual meanings, the psychological or historical explanations behind them, and practical examples of how they're used out there in the wild.
But we aren't just going to rattle off a dry alphabetical glossary.
Please no.
Right, and nobody wants that. To really understand these phrases, you have to look at the job they're doing. So, we're grouping these 20 idioms by theme. We want to show you how this very specific, incredibly visual language helps us navigate the messy, complex, deeply human experiences of life.
From managing social anxiety all the way to facing our own mortality.
Exactly.
So let's jump right into the deep end, or rather, let's start where every human relationship has to begin. Social navigation, finding common ground.
Yeah, the starting point.
Because whether you're at a networking event or like a dinner party, every conversation has that initial friction, right?
It does. There's this palpable tension in the air when people don't know each other yet. And to manage that tension, we turn to our first phrase, which is break the ice.
Right. The literal meaning here is simply starting a conversation in a social situation to help shy people relax.
Right.
Like in the example provided. He told a joke to break the ice at the meeting.
Notice how physical that imagery is. We take an invisible emotion, social anxiety, and we give it a physical form.
Yeah.
You can almost feel that cold, rigid, fragile tension in the room before someone speaks.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why do we rely on these physical metaphors? Think about it like warming up a car engine in the dead of winter.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
You don't just put the key in the ignition, throw it into drive, and slam on the gas.
No, you'd ruin the engine.
Exactly. The car's going to stall out.
Yeah.
You have to let it idle, let the oil circulate, physically warm up the machinery. To me, breaking the ice is that exact same mechanical warm-up, but for human connection.
Yeah.
But why don't we just say, hey, everyone, let's talk to relieve our mutual social anxiety.
Well, what's fascinating here is that idioms actually lower the stakes of social interactions. Saying, let's relieve our anxiety is incredibly vulnerable.
It's super clinical, too.
Exactly. It's clinical, and it might actually make people more anxious. But visualizing this shared tension as a literal sheet of ice that just needs a gentle tap to crack,
Right.
it gives everyone in that room a safe, shared mental image to connect over. It externalizes the awkwardness.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
You are moving the problem from inside your head to this imaginary ice block on the table.
Yes.
And once that ice is broken, the goal is alignment,
Yes.
which leads perfectly to our next idiom, on the same page.
A classic.
We use this when we mean we agree or understand each other,
Yep.
essentially having the same idea. If you hear the example, let's make sure we are on the same page before starting, it's a call for alignment.
And again, it's a physical object.
Yeah, we're suddenly holding a shared book or a script.
And being on that same page establishes trust. Once you have a foundation of trust, the stakes of the interaction can get a little more playful. Which brings us to pull someone's leg.
I love this one.
It's great. It just means joking or teasing someone for fun. Like if someone takes offense to a joke, you immediately say, relax, I'm just pulling your leg.
And look at the mechanism there. We use a harmless physical tug on a limb to signal that the verbal teasing is also harmless.
Just like the imaginary ice, it's a safe mental image. We build social bonds through these shared imaginary physical actions.
But as anyone who has ever had a friend knows, once we've built that trust and we are officially on the same page, we start sharing things.
Real things.
Deep secrets.
Oh, boy. And
Wow.
human beings are famously, sometimes catastrophically, terrible at keeping secrets.
You really are.
Which bridges us naturally to our second theme. the extreme fragility of secrets. When trust fractures, we immediately move into the realm of spilled secrets and chaos.
So let's look at how language frames that chaos. We have two very famous idioms here that sound similar on the surface, but they carry entirely different emotional weights.
Okay, let's hear them.
First up is spill the beans. This means revealing a secret that was supposed to stay hidden. If someone says, he spilled the beans about the surprise party, they're talking about a secret getting out.
Then you have its companion phrase, which is, let the cat out of the bag.
Right.
The core meaning here is slightly dissonant. It means revealing a secret accidentally, without meaning to. For example, she let the cat out of the bag about the wedding plans.
Now, looking at these two side by side, I have to point out a subtle distinction.
What's that?
Well, spilling the beans sounds almost deliberate, or at the very least, incredibly careless.
Yeah, that's true.
You're holding a bowl, you tip it over, the beans scatter across the floor. It's annoying, it's a mess, but it's inanimate. But letting a cat out of a bag? That sounds frantic. It's an accident.
And consider the physics of it.
The physics.
Yeah. Once a struggling, clawing cat is out of a sack, it is completely impossible to reverse the situation.
Oh, wow.
You are never, ever getting that furious cat back into that bag.
Right. The beans you might be able to scoop up if you're quick, but the cat is gone.
Exactly.
And whether it's careless beans or a frantic cat, when secrets escape, the situation inevitably leads to our next phrase. It gets out of hand.
Yep.
This means becoming uncontrollable and difficult to manage. Like if you hear, the party got out of hand after midnight.
And notice the shared trajectory of all three of those phrases. You drop the beans, you drop the bag, the situation slips from your physical grasp.
It is an irreversible downward and outward motion.
Exactly. Our language equates the loss of secrecy and the loss of control with physical messiness.
Which is such a brilliant way to frame it. Because when things get out of hand and there's a metaphorical mess on the floor, it usually requires a ton of hard work to fix it.
It definitely does.
That is a perfect pivot to our third section, the daily grind. This is how idioms frame our professional lives, the effort we put in, our accuracy, and the temptation of taking shortcuts.
This section really shines a light on the human work ethic. Language provides us with a complete spectrum of effort.
Okay.
Let's start at the absolute top of that spectrum, perfect accuracy.
That would be hit the nail on the head. This means saying something exactly right.
Yeah.
For example, you hit the nail on the head when you said the problem is lack of practice.
Yeah.
Complete, perfect precision, one swing of the hammer, perfectly driven home. It's incredibly satisfying just to picture it.
It is, but sometimes work doesn't require that level of focused, intense effort at all.
Thank goodness.
Sometimes it's a piece of cake. This describes something very easy or simple to do. If the test was a piece of cake for her, it means she breezed through it.
Contrast the imagery there. We go from the hard, metallic precision of driving a steel nail to the soft, sweet, indulgent experience of eating a piece of cake.
Correct.
But unfortunately, real life is rarely a piece of cake.
It never is.
Usually, you have to face some serious friction.
Hmm.
Which brings us to a much harsher image. Bite the bullet.
This is when you bravely face a difficult or hard situation. You accept something unpleasant and just deal with it. As in the example, I had to bite the bullet and finish the boring work.
And historically, this comes from before modern anesthetics, right?
It does. Yeah.
Soldiers literally biting down on a lead bullet during surgery. So when we use it to describe doing paperwork or boring spreadsheets, we are borrowing this imagery of painful, grimacing physical endurance.
Exactly. We are elevating our mundane tasks by giving them life or death stakes. And if that boring work takes all day and stretches into the night, you might have to use our next idiom,
Which is?
burn the midnight oil. This simply means working or studying late at night, like she is burning the midnight oil to prepare for exams.
Again, tying us to a physical reality. Before electricity, staying up late literally cost you resources.
You had to burn expensive oil in your lamp.
Right. So we have perfect precision, breezy ease, painful endurance, and exhausting long hours. But what happens when people get tired of the grind?
They turn to our next phrase, cut corners.
Right. This means doing something poorly or skipping steps to save time or money. The example provided is a stark warning. They cut corners while building the house, and now it's unsafe.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to offer a little pushback here.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
Is cutting corners always inherently a bad thing?
Well,
I mean, in the corporate world, sometimes biting the bullet means finding the fastest, most efficient route to a solution. If you literally cut across a corner on a path, mathematically, you arrive at your destination faster. Isn't that just good optimization?
It's a fair question. Optimization is valuable. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of the idioms we just discussed, cutting corners sits at the very bottom of that effort spectrum.
Okay.
You have the sharp focus of the nail, the grit of the bullet, and then you have the dangerous laziness of cutting corners. The key is right there in the example about the house.
You mean the fact that it became unsafe?
Exactly. In geometry, cutting a corner saves time. In construction, if you optimize away a load-bearing structural step, the roof collapses.
Ah, I see.
The idiom specifically warns us about moving from efficiency into negligence.
I can see that entirely. Taking the fast route is fine, but ignoring the foundation is disastrous.
Definitely.
And speaking of things breaking down, if you burn the midnight oil too long, or if you live in that unsafe corner-cut house, it eventually takes a massive physical toll on you.
It really does.
Which brings us to our fourth theme, the human condition. Health, wealth, sleep, and mortality.
This is where we see how language actually softens the blow of life's harshest realities. Things like illness, financial ruin, exhaustion, and ultimately, mortality.
Let's start with the most common physical toll we all face, being under the weather.
Right.
This just means feeling sick or not well. If someone says, I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so I will rest, they're using this phrase.
Think about the psychological framing there.
What do you mean?
Well, it makes a viral or bacterial sickness sound like a passing rainstorm rather than a biological failure. You are just temporarily standing under a weather system, and weather systems eventually move on.
That's brilliant. It's like a comforting delusion.
Exactly.
And when you are feeling that way, you need to use our next phrase, hit the sack. This means going to sleep when tired, like I'm really tired, I'm going to hit the sack.
Yeah.
But look at the violence in that verb, hitting. You aren't gently laying your head down. You are so exhausted that you are collapsing into the mattress with physical force.
And historically, beds were literally sacks filled with hay or straw, so it's a very grounded, peasant-level reality of exhaustion.
Right, right. But it's not just our physical energy that gets drained by the world, it's our resources, which leads to costs an arm and a leg.
Oh, yeah. This means something is very expensive. That car costs an arm and a leg.
Here is where it gets really interesting to me. I have to marvel at how visceral and extreme these specific phrases are.
They are intense.
I mean, think about what we are casually saying. We're talking about sacrificing literal human limbs just to describe purchasing a vehicle.
It's a grotesque exaggeration, isn't it?
It really is. And sometimes we get a reprieve from these costs, but it's rare. We say it happens once in a blue moon.
Meaning happening very rarely, like we go out to eat only once in a blue moon.
But the ultimate extreme, the final end of the human condition, is our next phrase.
Kick the bucket.
Right. The meaning is a casual, humorous way to say someone died. Like the old man kicked the bucket at the age of 90.
Yeah.
But again, violently kicking a bucket to describe the quiet end of a human life. Why do we use such intense, macabre, physical metaphors for these realities?
Because language acts as an emotional buffer. Human psychology is fragile. Facing direct realities can just be too heavy for us to process in daily conversation.
That makes sense.
Saying someone died is incredibly somber. Saying they kicked the bucket is a defense mechanism. It allows us to process the terrifying reality of mortality with a tiny injection of humor.
Wow. It's language protecting our psychology. The words themselves are acting as a shield for our minds.
Exactly. And that emotional protection leads us perfectly into our final section today. Because while life throws these intense curveballs at us, whether it's getting sick, getting exhausted, or losing an arm and a leg and expenses, it's ultimately our choices and our resilience in the face of those things that define us.
Which brings us to section 5, navigating choices, resilience, and silver linings.
Yes.
When the storm passes, what do you do next? Well, the first thing you have to do is take ownership and the phrase, the ball is in your court.
This means it's your turn to take action or make a decision. For instance, I've done my part, now the ball's in your court.
I really love the imagery here. It's a literal game of tennis. Life, or your boss or your partner, hits the ball over the net to you.
Right?
You are standing there on the baseline, racket in hand. You have a choice. You can swing back, or you can stand totally still and let the ball bounce past you.
And if you choose to stand still, you risk experiencing our next idiom, miss the boat. This means being too late to do something important. He missed the boat by not applying earlier.
You picture someone running down a wooden dock, out of breath, only to watch the ship sailing away over the horizon.
Yeah, the opportunity is just gone.
But let's say you do swing back. Let's
Yeah,
say you hit the tennis ball. Your rally goes on, the game continues, and it gets incredibly exhausting. That is when you need to hear, hang in there.
a vital phrase. It means encouraging someone to stay strong and not give up. Hang in there. Things will get better soon.
And the mental image is so stark. You picture someone literally gripping a ledge, right?
Exactly.
Their fingers are slipping, gravity's pulling at them, and they are just desperately holding on.
And why do we encourage people to hold on to that ledge? Why not just let go? Because of the core philosophy captured in our final phrase today,
Which is
a blessing in disguise.
meaning a negative situation that actually has a positive result later on. Like losing that job was a blessing in disguise. Yeah. Finding the good hidden inside the bad.
This raises an important question about human psychology. If you look closely at these, it proves that our language is fundamentally, at its absolute core, optimistic.
How so?
Think about it. Even when we are hanging from a metaphorical ledge, or we've missed the boat, or we are facing a really tough spot like losing a job, we have a built-in linguistic tool to remind us that the negative thing might just be wearing a disguise.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, that underneath the pain there is a blessing waiting to be revealed. Language itself coaches us to be resilient.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've journeyed through 20 essential phrases today.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. And we've seen how these idioms take entirely invisible concepts like the awkwardness of a new relationship, the frantic escape of a secret, the gritty effort of hard work, and the deep, abiding optimism of the human spirit. We'll paint them in these vivid, memorable physical colors: ice, beans, cats, nails, buckets.
We navigate our entire lives, our biggest triumphs, and our deepest tragedies through these mundane, everyday images.
We really do. And my hope for you is that you start to notice these idioms in your own daily conversations. You now have the literal meanings, and more importantly, you have the explanations for why they exist.
Yeah, put them to work.
Use them. Use them deliberately as tools to make your own communication richer, to build trust, to soften the blow for someone who is hurting, and to break the ice in a room full of strangers.
And I'll leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
We use these highly visual phrases effortlessly every single day. We don't even blink. But let's go back to that thought experiment from the very beginning. Imagine a completely literal-minded AI or an alien visitor trying to decode our conversation.
Oh, right. Our confused aliens.
Yeah. If they listen in and realize that we navigate our days by kicking buckets, spilling beans, and biting bullets, does that prove that human language is actually far less about exchanging pure facts and much more of a shared secret code? A code that relies entirely on human imagination and shared empathy, rather than just cold, hard data?
It really makes you wonder. Maybe that precision engineering we started talking about, that clean, binary transmission of information, was never actually the point of human language at all.
Probably not.
Maybe the muddy waters, the escaping cats, and the imaginary ice are exactly what make us human. Keep an ear out for that secret code in your own life. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.